There's one word that I have a lot of trouble pronouncing.
What is it? Spit it.
There's two. There's three! Dude, 1, 2.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Sweets. Today we are going to do a little something different. We're going to tell you a little bit about the history of the Nutcracker Ballet. Most of our historical information is coming from this book by Jennifer Fischer called Nutcracker Nation. A special shout out to Bailey, who helped Miss Abby by reading the book and highlighting important facts while they were on the plane back from Disney.
The Nutcracker started in 1892 in Russia with Tchaikovsky's original score that most Nutcrackers still use today. Although there are many different versions, including hip-hop, jazz, tap, satirical, or a combination of dance styles, the things most Nutcrackers have in common are growing trees, falling snow, and dancing candies.
The ballet starts with Clara, or in some versions, her name is Marie, at her family's Christmas party where her godfather presents her with the Nutcracker doll. After the guests leave, Clara falls asleep and the ballet turns into a fantasy with battles between rats and soldiers, and Clara saving her Nutcracker prince by hitting the Rat King with her shoe.
He then leads her through a snow scene on the way to his enchanted kingdom, the Land of Sweets. The residents of this land listen to Clara's story of how she got there and present her with a suite of dances inspired by other lands.
Although the original ballet did not, many versions of the Nutcracker end with Clara at her home with visions of sugar plums dancing in her head. The Nutcracker started out in the Mariinsky Theater on December 6, 1892. It had the same creative team as the team that developed Sleeping Beauty, one of Tchaikovsky's other original ballets. Marius Petipa was the original choreographer for the ballet, and Antoinetta Del Rey was the very first Sugar Plum Fairy.
It did not receive many positive reviews right off the bat. The plot was a bit loose, kids were the leads, and although it was originally based off of a children's book, The Nutcracker and the Mouse King, it did not have the same appeal as Sleeping Beauty.
Over the years, the Nutcracker took over many different forms and was performed in many different countries. Each production had a life of its own.
The Russian principal dancers were not fans of the Nutcracker because of the young lead, so at one point they combined the role of Clara with the Sugar Plum Fairy to create the role of Marcia, so an adult could be the lead. But this didn't really work because of the childish vibe of the plot and the music. It had started to become a children's favorite around Christmas time. Balanchine's 1956 broadcast of the ballet brought it a lot of popularity. He played the role of Drosselmeyer, and only a few things went wrong during this live broadcast, like crashes during set changes and the camera catching Balanchine putting a ballerina doll in her place. But the growing tree was quite a lovely effect.
Balanchine liked that it was for children, and people often said that he was very childlike himself. He added a lot of domesticity to the show to help the audience connect with the characters on stage.
He was also one to add the role of Drosselmeyer's nephew to the party, who later becomes the Nutcracker Prince. The way Clara first meets the nephew suggests that Balanchine was inspired by the Hollywood movie convention of the meet cute, when the film's love interests first lay eyes on each other when he introduces them at a party scene.
Since Balanchine's Clara and the Nutcracker Prince look to be around 10 years old, they do not get married, but instead he returns Clara home safely in his magic sled.
Balanchine also likes to add domestic moments for Clara's mother or family to check over her as she falls asleep before Drosselmeyer comes in and shakes everything up.
The Nutcracker quickly found its place as a staple of a holiday season all around America, especially since it gives you a fantasy feel and also an old-fashioned Christmas feel.
In 1994, the Nutcracker was chosen as the theme of all the decorations in the White House because of Chelsea Clinton's involvement in ballet and her performing in the Washington Ballet's production for several years.
This turned the Nutcracker into more of a franchise operation, and ballets sprouted up all over, usually with different locations changing it to fit their audience.
In Donald Byrd's Harlem Nutcracker, Clara is a grandmother who sees her deceased husband in a vision when her memories are stirred by the Nutcracker doll he gave her years before. The Harlem Nutcracker's adult Clara travels through this jazzy snow scene before arriving at the Club Suites, which recreates a hotspot of the Harlem Renaissance.
The male role has had many different transformations over time, the two most prominent being the Nutcracker Prince and the Sugar Plum's partner, usually referred to as the Cavalier.
In the original ballet, the Nutcracker Prince was a student dancer throughout both acts. and the adult who partnered the Sugar Plum Fairy was called Prince Coqueluche, French for Prince Whooping Cough. Because this prince is a mere consort, it's the Sugar Plum Fairy who rules and officially welcomes strangers to her realm. Such a name seems to add insult to injury. To be fair, there's a French idiom that turns the word coqueluche into a term of endearment, and in the 17th century it could mean someone who is much loved or admired. Still, just the sound of the name perhaps led to the current preferred title of Cavalier, which is short for the guy needed for the ground pot of duh.
Although the Nutcracker was fairly traditional originally, it has taken on a life of its own, and it's still considered a Christmas tradition.
The Nutcracker is also usually the first ballet people see, and some people call it a ritual intro to ballet. Bailey was worried this made us a part of a cult, but I think we're good. But some people say it's like their religion because they put so much work and effort into it every year, and people believe very strongly in the ballet.
We've developed our own interpretation of the Nutcracker, especially over the last few years. 5 years ago, Mr. Sam and Miss Abby had the idea of using the features from Act 2 as the party guests in Act 1.
So we have our tea soloist as Great Aunt Chamomile, our Sugar Plum as Clara's mother, Mother Ginger as Nanny Snaps, and so many more. Even Fritz makes a cameo in Clara's dream as the Rat King.
This year, we are very excited to announce new opening scene costumes that will further the idea of Clara's dream. Miss Denise has made skirts to go with the tops from the Act 2 costumes. Now, we don't want to spoil the surprise, but here's one sneak peek. Miss Denise, you are amazing.
Speaking of our Nutcracker, this is our 18th year of the studio stage version of the Nutcracker. Miss D says that the first year her advanced ballet class just sat down and all of the dancers told each other which parts they'd like to play. Like, oh, you're good at toe touches, you should be T. Or, oh, you like ballet, you should be Sugar Plum.
Almost everyone on our staff was in one of the first Nutcrackers, and they had many fun features throughout their careers. Miss Annie was the first Snow Queen, Miss Tari was a Jack-in-the-Box, Miss Jamie and Miss Allie were both Sugar Plum Fairies, Miss Abby was Clara, and Mr. Sam was an OG demi-rat. Just kidding, he did lots of other things too.
We hope you enjoyed this quick look into the history of the Nutcracker Ballet. Come see this Christmas tradition at the Middletown Night Stage on November 30th at 6 p.m., December 1st at 11 a.m. or 3 p.m., or December 2nd at 2 p.m. Tickets are available at the link below. We hope you can join us as we kick off this holiday season. At her family's Christmas... Sorry.
Bloopers. How is it satirical? Satirical. I can do it. Okay.
Take a little step to your right.
Can you see that?
You gotta do it. Yeah, there's. See, okay.
This is Marie at her family's Christmas party.
Hold on, slow down.
Sorry.
Okay, go start again from back.
Okay, yeah, I knew you would like it. Somebody hold this. I'm gonna do an actual sound, alright? Okay. Welcome back to another Behind the Sweets ASMR. Today we are going to do some sounds.
Ballet did not. Many versions...
Natalie! Okay, one more second. Stay quiet if you're coming in. Wait, there's home in there somewhere. He returns Clara home safely in his magic sled.
Using
a magic sled.
Safely in his magic sled.
In Donald Byrd's Harlem Nutcracker, Clara is a grandmother who sees her decade husband.
Oh, deceased. Say it one more time. Right, say it one more time. Wait, we need to get roll.
Okay.
Wait, was that right?
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Was quite a lively effect. I guess that's fine.
Lively.
It sounds like you're saying tree.
It says lovely. Sorry.
On October 30th at 6 p.m., December 1st.
Does it say October?
It doesn't, but I just said October.
Just start. There we go.
Wait, how do you say it?
Tchaikovsky.
Chai.
It's Chai. There's no cha. It's
Wait, somebody say it.
Tchaikovsky. Don't listen to Alyssa.
Dude, say it. The Nutcracker started out in, I don't even know what this word is now. Okay, it's December 6, 1892. Okay, we're gonna take a breath. Marius, okay, now we're on another one. I didn't say that right.
It's okay. Marius Petipa.
Marius Petipa.
Antoinetta.
So much.
Wait, what is it?
Marius
IPA.
Marius
Petipa or Petipa? Petipa.
Petipa?
Yeah, it's Petipa.
Marius Petipa was. Well, because I was like.
Go ahead, Virgin.
Why are you laughing?
Okay, you can go.